Okay guys, I bought a new filter for the 125 gallon aquarium. I'm not a big fan of having to buy things, but this filter is terrible. Mostly just the noise. It makes a ton of noise. It would be fine if it didn't make a ton of noise, but it does. And all the marine land filters that I've worked with eventually make a bunch of noise. But this one is an aqua clear. It was a whole lot more expensive, which doesn't really mean anything. It's just unfortunate. And the reviews either said that it was really loud or it was really quiet, so I wasn't exactly sure. But the idea is that it is structured in a way that it cannot make noise in the same way as that one. And where's other marine? That one down there, which is also a marine filter. So I have this other aquaclave here that I actually got with Susan, and Susan's in this area for a little while. And the problem with it is that it doesn't fit on a tank this big, which is really annoying. I mean, it's a 75 gallon, it's a 70 gallon filter, but it doesn't fit on a 75 gallon, and it only fits on like a 55 gallon. That's the biggest tank it'll fit on, which is really annoying. And it's just like this area is just not big enough. So on Amazon, I made sure that this would fit, or at least from what it said, it'll fit. So I'm gonna put it up on this tank. I'll run it, start running it, and see if it's good. And then in that case, then I might modify something a little bit. We'll see. Not actually modify it, but there's a ton of plants I want to have in it. And I'm wondering if I could build a little box that's kind of like a net to put inside. So then the plants are in a net that, not a net, but like a solid thing that water will pass through, but I can just take it on out real easy because there's essentially just a ton of plants in there. And if I could just do that, then it would be really easy to remove everything if I needed to. That's the idea. I don't know how I would do that, but we'll see. Maybe I'll even make something out of egg crate. That might work pretty well. I'm not entirely sure. So I'm gonna open it on up. Okay. So it's already actually kind of open on the bottom. I'll just take this off. I think I need a knife. Let's see. Alright. Then just open it on up. And it is real big, which is nice. That is a solid size filter. So that is crazy. That's really nice. I really like the structure of the marine land in that it has like two areas. I think that's pretty cool, and it like fits perfectly on the side of a 125 gallon, which I think is really cool. But as you can see, this one is a whole lot bigger, and I almost wish that there was a filter like this that had two areas that was just real big. But this is big enough, I'm sure. So then we have some filter bits, and this, which actually does come up pretty easily, if it'll come. Right. It should come up really easily, like this. Oh, it's kind of weird. Structured a little bit differently, but anyway, it's not real difficult to have it come up like that, and that would actually work pretty well. But the idea is that I could just have something like this, but it's completely encased. But it's nice to have like a filter bit like this. That's pretty cool. And I'll just put this back here. Actually, I'm going to take this filter bit out. And I'm just going to run it just with water, just to see how it sounds, you know? I think that's a good plan for now. Okay, so we have that. And then I guess we have to put this on. This is like a feature that'll keep the water level, so you can have it sit on your tank. So there's that. And then this sits in here somehow. I don't know, it's a little bit different than, let's see. Oh, okay. Yeah, so it sits right there. It might be a little bit of a newer version than my other one, I'm not entirely sure. But essentially, you can move this to create more and less flow, I guess. And then you're going to take this and you're going to try to put them on there. Let's see. Well, that's nice. They go on real tight. And then what's cool is you can just put on the next one, which kind of creates an annoying bit, but that's all right. And what's really nice is it's kind of, I mean, it's just plastic, and it was pretty expensive, but if it doesn't make noise, then it was well worth it, to be honest, just because it really affects sleeping and stuff. But it looks a heck of a lot easier to clean than the Marineland. So the Marineland filter there's all these different bits and everything going everywhere, and this one's just a box, you know, it's just simple. It's just, there's not a whole lot to it, which I don't think is a bad thing at all. So it actually gives like a ton of area, and that's pretty cool. So I'm going to set that on there, we're going to fill it with water, and then I will get it started. Let's see if it'll fit first of all. Fit on the side. Yes, okay. That was the main part I was actually worried about, was to see if it would actually fit or not. So you can see it's a massive filter. And what's kind of cool about it being clear is it'll grow algae on the inside, which will also, especially since it's right by a bunch of lights, which will also aid in cleaning the tank. I mean, that's what algae actually does. So anyway, fits perfectly on the side. And then, as I said, you can level it somewhat with this thing. Now, this doesn't only help my sleeping, hopefully, assuming that it's quieter to some extent. It should also help the videos a little bit, so then there's not as much background noise. But I have a lot of things running in here, so it's not going to make too much of an improvement, unfortunately. I'm going to rinse it out real quick, and then I will fill it up with the tank water, just as a precaution. So I'm filling it up just to make it a little bit easier, but this doesn't actually help. Like when you turn on a filter, you might notice that it like makes a really loud noise, and that's just the process of the water, or it like has to get the water through, or the air through the tube. I'll just fill it up until I can't anymore. Okay, so it's trying to get all the air out, you see? And eventually it will, just as the other one that I have does. Something like that, I don't know. Oh, it's actually really weird. Okay, so it looks like it just kind of makes a little bit of noise when the air goes through, but eventually it should completely get the air out. So it's not loud like the other one, but I think the thing is with filters, you got to give them time. So I think that's why, like with reviews, it's either like, oh, this is crazy quiet, because you're comparing it to the last filter you bought, which you've probably had for years, and the new one has never ran before. So when you have to go through and like compare things like that, I think it kind of messes it up a little bit. So it's quiet now, but what I'm saying is that doesn't mean it'll stay quiet. So I don't know. I'll just have to use it to find out. But it's going to take a bit of effort to get it to the point that all of this stuff is into here. So I might not do that right away. I might have homework to work on. I'm honestly not sure. So I will work on that when I can. Here is what I'm thinking. First of all, it does make a little bit of noise. It's this thing. So this is the spinner dealie, and it like bounces up and down. I don't know how I feel about that. So I'm hoping that if there's stuff in here and it has to work harder, then it won't bounce up and down like that. But we will see. It's not enough for me to like, it's not as bad as this filter in any sort of way. So it's something that I really don't hear it if I like go away, and I don't think it'll worsen. So it's not something big enough for me to have to return this. I don't even think I can because I already opened it. Anyway, I am going to transfer the things over. I think what I'm going to do is, so this tank's kind of interesting. It has a lot of biological filtration. So it has lots of material for beneficial bacteria to grow on, especially in the huge canister filter that I have. But I don't really trust the canister filter. It's kind of old. It doesn't really work all that well, but it is like running and going. So that's why I have this, but also for my plants, because I want my plants to have a place. So this is pretty much just packed filled with biological media. And then we have 2 sponge filters, and neither one of them seem to be working, but they're there. And that one just, like, I think the pump's kind of just like not doing so hot. So anyway, this is just to keep water agitation and stuff like that going, and it seems to be working pretty well. So I don't think that I'm going to use this, because this seems like it would work really well for mechanical filtration, which I do need in this tank, and that would be helpful. But at the same time, just with how things are going with this pump, I'm not going to change out mechanical filtration. I probably should be. That's probably why I should use this, but really, it's for my plants. So what I think I'm going to do is just add in some more biological filtration in this bag thing that they put in there, and I'll just lay that right here, because what happens is the water comes in from the tank. Right now the thing's off, and this is really interesting. So this pump can run without like being connected to the tank. It just like filters through the water in there, which this pump can't do. It needs that because that's part of the dealio. Anyway, it's just running itself right now, and if it's too low, then it'll suck in air, and it just can't. It's not good for the filter to run on air. So don't try this. It's probably not a good thing. But anyway, it's running and it's fine. And weirdly enough, it doesn't make the noise when it's running like this. Anyway, I'm just going to throw that down here, and that'll give the plants some type of medium to grow into. They can entangle their roots into this bag dealy, I think, and because it stretches out, like you'll see. It'll stretch out, and I'm going to wash these off because obviously they're pretty dusty. And then I will go ahead and put all the plants on top of that. They can grow into that, and then I should be able to lift this thing out and just take all my plants out pretty easily, and that should work pretty well. Okay, so it's all set up, but because nothing is ever easy, there's a problem. And as you can see, it's right there. You see, so it can't even sit on this thing because everything's always difficult because of this tank right here. It's not like I'm moving this tank, so I just set it on the rim. And then obviously I couldn't get the top off, so I just cut the top in half, and the gecko can literally not get out. Like, she can't climb very well, and she's active, but like she doesn't really use the whole climbing dealy. So I made this, and she can't get out of that, and she never climbs up there anyway. So this is actually way better for me because now I can just reach in and feed her and stuff, and I have no doubt in that she cannot get out. So I think that's pretty cool. And then I can see inside, which is really helpful. So I can tell if the plants are doing all right and growing and everything, which is really cool to see. And then it's like silent water-wise, which is amazing. Like, look at that. That literally looks so majestic and awesome. So far, it's pretty great, and I think I love it. But now I need to figure out something, because if this filter works out really well, then I need to figure out how I can do one here, because there's not enough space for a filter that big back there, and I don't think this one would fit either. And this one's new, and it's decent, but at the same time it kind of sucks in a way. So I mean, it's good and it doesn't make any noise, which is awesome. So I would have gotten one like this, but it's a lot smaller than the other one, and it's not rated for the same size. I think it's more like 75 gallon or something like that. And it fits here perfectly, and it's really thick in the back, but it's also kind of small. So I don't think that it'll fit back there, because I don't even think it'll like fit back there. Like, I think it might this way, but probably not. So I can't get another one of these for here either. I'm not sure what I can do. So I need to figure out something for that, because this one is now the loud one in the room. And then that one's there, but I haven't found a decent air pump yet because the other one that I bought was really quiet, but now it doesn't work as well as it did. So I need to find one that's both quiet and that works. So yeah, for now, this filter is really great and I'm excited about it. And I think this looks really sleek and awesome. So we're going to go with that. I got a comment about the filtration that I use for my turtle tanks. So I figured I'd just upload this video that I filmed a couple months ago. So the filter's been running for a couple months so far. It's been quiet. There's like a tiny little bit of noise every once in a while, but it has not gotten worse at all. And really, it's not very noticeable. Oh, like completely better than the last filter so far. And so far, in my little experience with it, it's been really great. And it's probably the best filter that I have as far as hang-on backs. But again, I haven't had it for very long. It's only been a couple months, so that's not like for sure. And then over here, this is an FX5. I think canister filter, it would be better if it was newer. So that doesn't really give me an incentive to buy one because they're super expensive. And if I know that they're going to kind of go crappy after a while, then there's really no reason to do that. But it does flow water, and I think it does what it's supposed to do, which is just to supply extra mechanical filtration. So it's fine. And then this tank just has a bunch of pumps flowing, essentially. And then over here, this is a cascade filter. It's quiet, much more quiet than the Marineland's, but it doesn't filter the water very well. So there's kind of that, but it kind of works the circulation, so that's all right. Then I have a circulating pump in here, and then also I have sponge filters that seem to be kind of not working very well. So I recommend sponge filters. I don't know of good air pumps yet because all of the ones I bought have sucked. So this is kind of my experience with filtration. I'm still figuring out. I don't know the best answer, but this is what I've got for now. And so far, I'm liking the AquaClear filters. So hope you enjoyed. If you did, like it down below. If you have any comments or concerns, comments below. And if you have more content, then subscribe.